We have been having some amazing rainstorms coming through. Some of them have been a bit aggressive, and other ones, like today, is just some really nice wind to spread those seeds and those things around that nature's going to do and bring that water of the rain into the soil. And so I thought that I would take advantage of this and just record some of the storm that's going through today, get some rainwater, work it into a summer abundance home wash, and bring that into a video and maybe talk a little bit about rainwater. Um, I am going to split this into two, and so I'm going to probably post this one first about the rain wash. I'm going to then next week sit down and put together my thoughts and kind of flush it out and work with rainwater, and all the things that I personally connect when I am looking at rain magic, um, which can be like in multiple ways. We can work with rain magic as it's coming down. We can work with collecting the rain. We can work it into our gardens. We can record it and use it in meditation. So there's lots of different things we can do with rain magic, and I'm going to dive into a bit of a video. And I have a whole weekend to do it right now. So just to start with, for this particular video, what I am focusing on is the blessings that rain brings. A lot of witchcraft is focusing on the natural energy, behavior, and habits that are the world around us. So what is rain when it comes to that? Like, what purpose does rain serve in the environment, in our beautiful earth? So literally it can be like a double-edged sword, right? It can wash things away and clear things out, or it can be gentle and welcome blessings into the area. So the blessings obviously is for things to grow when the season becomes too dry, and that soil, the plants, the animals, birds, all the different things needs some water. Water is life, and so nature knows that it needs a continual sharing and giving of water. And that is what I look at when I see rain, particularly like today. But then at other times, we need a good cleansing. And even though it can be destructive and harmful, when we take out some of like the human elements of it and you look at nature and the way it helps clear away brush, debris, it kills off like an imbalance when there's too many bugs, or it can help bring supply to a river, to a lake, get things moving again so that the water table of earth can find its passage through all of the veins of the earth, the rivers, finding its way back to the ocean so that it can evaporate and go back up into cloud form and become rain again. This earth is a beautiful recycler, knowing how to disperse things and maintain a balance, which it feels like right now. It's working against human behavior and some of the toxins that we have been putting into water and into things, but into the soil, but that's a different subject. um, anyways, but so when I'm looking at rainwater and I think about I want to collect some rainwater in order to bring blessings into my own home, I am going to use a small dish so that I collect just what I need for this particular spell. Rain happens all the time, and so I don't want to have like a surplus supply of rainwater. I want to only collect what I need for right now, which is a little bit different when we're using like moon water. If that's the intention, I want a whole bunch of rainwater for that moon water blessings. But for today, focusing on rainwater, the beauty about rainwater in protection spells is I can use herbs and plants from my surrounding area combined with these droplets of rain that have come to my home, and use that in a way to help manifest blessings, protection, abundance, prosperity, wellness, and health, all of the different things that we want to bring into our lives, into our home. and allow that to flow through with our magic, with things that are readily on hand, things that are right here. So um, we can mix the rainwater with the intention, with just the dirt at our front step, and that act alone can be all that you need to create a protection spell at your door. Yes, it becomes mud, but you know what? Mud is glorious. And magic doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't need to have all of these different ingredients. It can be as much as you want or as little as you want, because you're the magic and you're connecting with the things at your home, like the soil, the rain, maybe the grass that's right there, really working into the nature spirits that are surrounding you every single day. So I am going to put a little dish out that I recently got from the witch casket, and it'll be the first time I use it. I'm going to put that out in the rain, and I am going to collect some rainwater. Whatever nature gives me is what I will receive. And then I am going to work that into a spell bottle, which is kind of like a wash. Okay, so let me go ahead and get into the spell. I'm going to take you step by step and just take you along with me during this couple-day process that this takes. So, okay. Okay, so I have the water here, and as you can tell, it is pretty dirty. So I also have a jar for the rainwater, and a strainer, and a funnel. So I'm going to try and do this on camera, which is an interesting thing. Okay, so I have the rainwater, I have my funnel, and then the strainer. So I'm going to pour that rainwater in there, allowing the leaves and the bits of other things to be pulled away. And now we have some rainwater. So there is always going to be some bits in the rainwater. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe if I go upside down. Because as the rain is coming down, it is going to catch on trees. Any debris that's in the sky that was lifted up with the clouds, like all kinds of things, can be in rainwater. So it's not safe to drink, but it is safe for use in magic. If you wanted to purify it more, you could strain it more. You could boil it if you wanted to really get it clean. But for my purpose, for this rainwater, this is perfectly fine. All right, so we have our rainwater. I am going to use dill, generally for home protection, to ward off any baneful spirits, the dance of the horned god, any kind of love magics, charms, and just general like protections. Dill is a very powerful spirit protector, and so it works as a ward against negative energies that you don't want, and welcomes in those like ancestral that you do want. So I really love dill. And then some roses that I have. Roses, again, are really good for any kind of love, but also protection. Remember, the thorns on a rose offer that act of protection. The sweetness of the rose welcomes in that sweetness of love. And so it has that balance. I love roses in all kinds of magic. And then I am going to recycle one of the bottles that didn't sell at my last pop-up market. So this is the summer solstice blend. Two of them didn't sell, and so I figured one of them I have been using at home, and the other one I decided I'm going to use today in this spell. So how I make these personally is I make one big batch of them, and they soak in, working towards the energy of whatever the oil is intended for. And so this one, summer solstice, I had a blend of limes, tangerine, and oranges, combined with roses, of course, cinnamon sticks, and then citron. and they soaked up and got absorbed, and I worked some moon magic into it, preparing for summer solstice. And so this is that final result. So what I am going to do is take my rainwater and I'm going to take this custom-made blend and I'm going to go ahead and just add that whole thing in there. So you can see the color, the change of the color is because of the herbs that were soaked in there. The carrier is a rose water and non-alcoholic witch hazel. Okay, and then of course I will boil this down and recycle the bottle for home use. We use lots of those bottles around here that I recycle. So now I have rainwater, my own spell that I've already been working and prepared. And then I'm going to add now my 2 herbs. So it's just simple of adding these roses in. All of these herbs I already work with. I've grown them myself in my own garden. Oh, I just realized it's not in camera. I've grown all these roses and these dill in my own garden. And so that energy, that connection with my magic is already tied into it. And so I actually don't need to add as much intention as I would say an herb that I purchased from the store or might have been gifted to me. I have been with these particular rose petals from the plant to the bud, to the blossoms, to the drying, to the whole thing. And so the relationship, in my personal view, is already bonded with the herb, with the flowers, with the leaf, whatever it is. Okay. And then my dill. I like leaving some of the stems in there because sometimes with magic I want the stems. But today I want more or less leaf. A little bit of stem is okay. I separate some of the more fine leaves for my kitchen. And of course now I have dill everywhere. Okay. So just enough for this spell. Okay. So now you can see that I have this blend. I'm going to cork it, and then I prefer to mix it by stirring it clockwise because I am welcoming in blessings. And as I am spinning this, I am focusing on now the intention that I am seeking for this spell. So this is a prosperity, abundance, and protection for my home as we go through the months of summer. Okay, so there is it mixed. I am now going to leave it on my altar space for a couple days, and I will pop back on this video to show how I use this at my front door, my front window, as well as my back door, so that the process of entering my home, exiting my home, has that flowing energy of protection, abundance, prosperity that I would like for my home. All right, so I will check back in with that next part. Okay, good morning. So this protection and abundance, prosperity, door wash, home wash, has now been sitting on my altar for about 3 days. It's early in the morning, so I don't know if this is considered day 3 or maybe it's 2.5. Anyways, you can see how the rose petals, I hope you can see it on the video. You can see how the rose petals have now absorbed a lot of that oil and they have become soft And this is the moment that I am looking for, where those roses are showing that that they've really absorbed all of the fluids. And this is where I'm going to take this outside and I am going to spread this around my home. So I live in a townhome which has shared walls. And so I thought I would take just a moment and talk about how I spread this around my home when I can't physically access the sides of my townhome. So I use visual magic. I will stand in the front of my yard and I will draw a imaginary but a visual line going down between my two units. So what's mine is mine, what's yours is kind of the magic that I'm using when focusing on this. So my space is the shared wall, and on one side is my home, and on the other side is my neighbor's home. And so focusing on that understanding is where I'm going to draw that line right down the middle. So there's a space of air that's in that wall, that shared wall, and that's what I'm kind of focusing on, that neutral space. So that's how I'm going to focus on the side. So that's all visual magic. And so this water, I realized early in the video I was calling it an oil. So I guess it's just muscle memory with language. But this wash is something that I'm going to spread in the front and then also in the back of my property. You could put this on the walls, but pay attention to what the material is on your walls. So there is citrus in here, which could damage woods and certain kind of enamels. So it depends on what the siding is, what is your window frame, what is your door made of. I would never put this directly on wood because it could dry it out. Which is something that we just don't want because then it can warp and change the protection that that wood frame gives your window or your door. So what I tend to do is I put this on soil. You notice that there's no salt in it. There's no other kind of minerals other than basically the herbs that are going to go back into the soil and become recycled. And I want to have a focus that what I am putting in this is something that is going to be healthy for the soil, that is not going to damage the soil. And salt is the enemy of planting because it's going to prevent any of those good microorganisms in the soil to live. It's going to destroy them. I mean, one of the most powerful things about salt is that it kills anything that it comes in contact with. Whether it is an energy, whether it is plants, if you put it on certain bugs, you can see how salt completely damages them and kills them. That is why salt is such a powerful banishing and protection agent when used correctly. If I'm going to put something on my soil, I want to make sure there's no salt in it. The roses are what I'm using to replace that salt component that a lot of us use in magic for protections. So there's other things that I like to focus on in my magic to make sure that I'm being kind to the plants, I'm being kind to the soil, I'm being kind to those nature spirits that reside in and around my home, and that I have a consciousness, an awareness of them, and respecting their space, respecting their boundaries as well. And in that, working with them rather than just kind of claiming and pushing my weight around as a witch. So that's just the way I do it. I'm trying to think about how to actually show you how I do this without like showing where I live, just because we live in, online world, and there are people out there that are not exactly kind. And so I was thinking, since I've already shown the back of my home, that is where I am going to show you the how I use this rather than showing the front of my home, which is a bit more revealing, house numbers and all that kind of good stuff. So, okay, so let me go outside in the back and I will show you how I use this. Okay, so here I am in my back garden. I've already gone along the fence of my garden and now I am at the property. So I really like putting this on my fingers and having that kind of physical connection, that contact with the magic, with my intention. And I like to kind of just spread it along my property line. Um, yeah, so if you want, you can get a spray bottle and spray it along here. So here, I'm gonna literally just pour a little bit along the threshold, and that way, as I step over it, going in or going out of my home, I have that interaction with the spell. Um, I will smell it and think about the fact that I am having this protection, this prosperity, wellness for my home and for my life. So I'm going to just continue spritzing it all along here. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to get out there and on the home. Of course, you are the magic, and your intention, understanding where your property is, where your home is really what's going to be going into this. Okay. Okay, so I have now finished it. I made sure that the bottom part is going at my front door on either side of the stoop. That is a big deal for me. I like to blend it in with the soil there, recognizing that the soil at my front step is absorbing and very concentrated with all of the activities of my home, um, of which is um, of which is occurring as we come and we go, using that door, all the thoughts and energies that we come in our home, those that we have when we leave our home. So there's lots of intentions, lots of goals, disappointments, joys, excitement. All of those human emotions are happening at the front door. So the very last bits of this, I always love blending into the soil there to add that extra intention, to make sure it's not just kind of chaotic energy of the comings and goings, that there's also in with that direction, intention setting, focus, having that awareness. So I like bringing all of those things in, the mundane everyday activities combined with the witchcraft of intention and focus, and really bringing in those herbs, understanding how they can be our friends, and all of the different blends, rainwater, all those blessings. So, okay, so thank you for hanging out with me as I have walked through this video, hopefully as detailed as I possibly can. And as always, hopefully you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are, and happy witching.